So the next thing that you need to do after you are done inking your quad and making it look beautiful, it should look this good. You should take a clear picture. Now this looks a little yellowy because of the light. It's a little crooked because I did that on purpose so I could show you how to make it straight. But I want you to actually try to get it as straight as you can when you take the picture. Take it in good light so there's not a shadow of you taking the picture. Taking it outside, I actually went outside and took this out in my yard. So you could just put it on a chair or the sidewalk, and you know, the lighting will be nice and bright. Make sure your inking is really clean. It should be really clean, but you're still going to have some to clean up. Okay, so here it is. It's in my folder, and I actually want to download this first. So I'm going to download it to my desktop or down to my downloads folder. So you just right click and click download. I already got it there. So there it is. And then I'm going to open a new Photopea. So it's photopea.com, and it'll open and you'll see this. It's going to have some ads on the side. You're just going to have to ignore them because we're doing the free version. Okay, so you can just drag it onto here. It has to be a JPEG. So you want to save it as a JPEG file. So if it's one of those HEIC, it might not work. So you should open it and save it as a JPEG. On a Mac, you can just double click and save as. See if you can open it on your Chromebook and do some either export or save as and make sure that it's a JPEG file. All right, and then I can just drag this on here, or I can go to open from computer and I can find it in my downloads folder, same deal, and it's going to open. All right, so now it is not ready to color because it's not going to look good if I color it. I'm going to spread this out on the whole screen now so we can have more real estate. You want to fill the page, you can do Control or Command 0 and it'll fill the page area right there. Okay, so I told you all to make a border on the inside and to overshoot your lines. A lot of you did not do that. There's a reason for that because we're going to crop it on this border. If you went all the way to the edge of your paper, then you're going to crop it just to the inside edge. Okay. But the first thing that we need to do is we need to drag some guides out and make sure this is straight because we want it to be perfectly squared up as a rectangle. So you want to show your rulers. So you go to View, Rulers. Now mine already showing. See if I do it, clicked it, it went away. So it's View, Rulers. And then you'll see that you have a ruler here. That's where you get your guides. So you just click inside the ruler anywhere, just like in this part, the black part, you just click and drag. And I'm dragging this blue line down to my line, or drag it to the edge, near the edge. But I'm going to drag it here, and then I'm going to drag another one out down to the bottom. Now see how it's crooked? It's not straight. So I want to make it straight with these guidelines. So I'm dragging another guideline out of that ruler. And I'm just clicking and dragging, pressing and dragging all the way out to, I'm going to do it to the top one because it's the most crooked there at that bottom right side. Okay, so I lined it up here. So look at that. Okay, we're gonna fix this and we're gonna make it straight. So I'm going to zoom out just a teeny bit. It's not that much, just so I can see the edges of my page. So now I'm going to make it straight. So I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Distort. Okay, so I'm going to distort it back to its proper. Hey, sorry, the bird's chirping. Okay, so I'm going to grab this corner. Now make sure that it's not the curved arrow or else that's going to rotate. So you want to go right on it and get that little diagonal one. Click and drag. Now look, I can just drag this anywhere, and I'm going to drag that little corner over top of this. Now, sometimes when you do that, it moves other things. So see how it moved this one? So I'm going to go and I'm going to drag that one. Oh, it's putting the little numbers on top. It's hard to see. There we go. Going to grab that. I'm just going to make sure that all of my corners are lined up. Okay, making sure that I'm not doing the curvy arrow. Once they're all lined up, then I can click the check mark up here or double click, click, click. Okay, and now it's all done. And I'm going to crop this right to these blue lines. Okay, if you don't have the border, you want to just crop it till it cuts off the edges of all the lines on the outside. So I'm going to use this crop tool over here in the toolbar on the left. Click on the crop tool, and I'm going to grab the top left corner and bring that down to my crisscross. And then I'm going to bring that up to the crisscross on that corner. And now I've got my cropped area right on top of where those guidelines are. So I can either click the check mark or I can double click. And now I have it cropped and it's perfectly squared up in a nice rectangle. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to hide these guidelines because they're just, I don't like to have extra things. So I'm going to go view, clear guides. And there they are. Now it looks like if I zoom up, I still have a line here. So I'm going to go back to the crop tool and I'm going to just drag it down just a little bit so it cuts off right there on the edge. Okay, there we go. Now I don't want to, oh, I think I need to do that in a couple places, don't I? So if you're zoomed way out, sometimes it's hard to tell. I'm going to just bring this in a little bit. There we go. Now you have to be really careful because sometimes when you have the crop tool on, you can accidentally drag this places you don't want to drag it to. So get off the crop tool after you're done. Just go to this marquee tool. Okay, that's kind of a benign tool. I always like to go to that one. I don't want a tool showing. All right, so now this is yellow and I don't want it to be yellow. It needs to be pure black and white. And I'll show you why. So if I wanted to drop a color in here, see when I zoom way up, you can see how it's all pixely and it's kind of grayscale on the pixels. If I wanted to color it, which we don't, do not color anything yet, because look what happens. See how it has a little gray edge there? It's not a clean color. Okay, so look, when I go in there, see how it's got the little bits of gray? See that? It's not clean, right? So we're gonna make it pure black and white. So right now it's yellowish and it's not pure black and white. It's got a grayscale and you can tell when you look at it because when you zoom up, it looks kind of fuzzy on the edges, right? So we wanna make this white, bright white. So that's why you got to take a good picture and you want to make sure that your marker is dark, and you got a good photo to start with. So if it's not a good photo, you need to go back and do it again. All right. So now we're going to make this pure black and white. We go to image, adjustments, threshold. Okay, the threshold is going to send it to black or white. So the lightest colors will be white and the darkest colors will be black. So when I click on threshold, look what it gives me. You even get a preview. So I'm going to move this over a little bit. And you can see that it's white, and black, but I think I'd like it a teeny bit darker because sometimes it'll start to eat away at your lines if your lines weren't nice and dark. So you can take and you can drag the threshold. You can either make it lighter or darker and see, look, if I make it really lighter, see how it eats away my lines? But if I make it darker, it makes them nice and rich. But if I go too dark, look what starts happening. It starts to look dirty, like anything that was even slightly off white. So you want to make sure that you are finding a happy medium where the lines look really black, but they're not starting to fill in. And the white is white. And this looks pretty good to me. Your number here is going to be different because everybody probably drew something a little different. So don't go by my number. You just do the slider until it looks good. This is what it looked like before. This is what it looks like now. I click OK. And there I am. Okay. That's how you get it black and white. The next thing is you need to clean it up. Mine is not that dirty because I was very careful, which is what I told you needed to do was to be really careful and clean with your pen. But some people may not have connected their lines all the way. Every line has to be touching. And look at this, I forgot to draw my lines in. I had them drawn in pencil, but I forgot to draw them. So I had lines like this behind here. And then I got a little bit of schmutz around here. So that's in a few places. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to clean those things up. Do not use the eraser, because look what happens when I use the eraser. It makes this transparent and it's not going to stay pure black and white. So do not use the eraser. Use the pencil, which is underneath the brush. So just go down, look for the brush tool and press and hold, and it is nested. So a lot of these tools have nested tools in them. Okay, so we're going to use the pencil because it's got a hard edge, and I'm going to make it white. So to change the color, you go down here over there and you click on that and you push it all the way up into the corner and click OK. So now I can just brush off, or I'm drawing a pencil over top of these lines. This is where those lines are that I forgot. And you might have to zoom in and you might have to change the size. So up here under edit, you click there and you can change the size a little bit. Okay, so you can keep the hardness at 100%. So that keeps it, so it, see when I click on it, it keeps the pencil nice and sharp. So I can go in and I can fix some things that were messy. Okay, and I can just go in and clean up any places that I see. It's good to zoom in and just, if you press your space bar, it'll give you this little hand and you can push around and look. So look at this. See, here's where I overshot my lines. So I can go in and I can erase that. Okay, so I can clean that up if I want to. That's the beauty of Photoshop, right? I can erase that. Now, and there's some places where you can still see some of my pencil. Maybe I didn't erase it all the way. That's why you had to draw it lightly. Okay, so if it's still showing and it's leaving little marks, you can erase it. All right, so I've got a few places to get rid of, but I want to fix this. So I'm going to show you how to draw some lines on here. If you messed up some lines and you want to fix them, I don't want you to go back in and try to draw this whole thing, because look, I hand drew this. I did use a ruler to make these lines, but I didn't use a ruler to make any of this, and it still looks fine and it's going to look awesome when it's done. Okay, so right here though, I'm going to show you how to draw the lines back. And I'm just going to show you over here and then I'll undo it. So I'm going to change the color to black. Okay, so I'm going to drag that down and click OK. So it's the color changers are down here. This is the background. So you want to use the upper left one of these two. Okay, so now it's black and I want to make sure that it is about as thick as the lines. These lines are about 6 or 7 pixels. Okay, so, and I already changed that. Just I magically happen to have it at 7. I think I'm going to change it to 6. Right, so let's see how that looks. So if I hold my brush over top of the line, you can see that it's the same thickness. Okay, so, and you can click up here to make that little box go away. Okay, now if I want to draw a line, I just click and then I let go. So I just tap my keypad or press my mouse and let go. Then I press shift and I go to wherever I want that line to go. So if I want that line to come down here, I just click and it goes right there. Okay, so if I hold the shift, every time I click, it's going to connect the dots. All right, but I don't want that on there. I'm going to delete it. Okay, but if I want to start, I click, hold shift, go to where I want to go and let go. And then I want to go over here. So I let go of the shift key and then I click, then I press shift and then I click. I let go of shift. I start where I want to start. I press shift and I click. You might have to practice that a little bit. Okay, so just go find a little spot and then you can erase it when you're done. So practice that. But I'm going to put these lines back on. So I'm going to click, let go, press shift, click, let go, press shift or click. So I clicked, I let go, press shift and click. I let go, so I don't want to draw over top of this part because that little leaf's there. So I start, I click, then I go to where I want it to go and I press shift and it connects. And then I let go. And then I come down to here. If I don't let go, it's going to draw a line that goes from here to here. Watch. So I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to go right there. I'm going to press shift and click. And then I want it to go up here. So I let go of the shift key. Then I click, and then I go up here and I press shift and I click. Okay. So I click, press shift, let go, click, press shift, click. Okay, so now I've filled in those places that I forgot to draw. All right, so I still have a few more places to clean up. You can use your swapper here. If you make this one white, then you can just switch back and forth. Look, I can go to black, to white. Nope. Oh, no, it's here. So this one's white. If I click on that, I can switch them back and forth. So now I want white again, so I can erase my mess. So I still have a little bit of messiness to clean up. And that is what I expect you to do this week. You are going to have a perfect piece that all the lines are clean. There's no broken lines. So if you have any broken lines, you got to clean them up and reconnect them using the pencil tool. And then when you're done, you're going to save it. So right now on my downloads, I have it saved as a JPEG, right? It was a JPEG file. Now I'm going to make it Photoshop. Okay, when I'm done, I'm going to keep this background, but I'm going to do multiple layers eventually. So I'm going to save this as a Photoshop file and put it in my folder. So I go File, Save as PSD, and it's going to go right to your downloads folder. So it's called Quad Inked PSD, and I save it and look where it's going, right here. Okay, so now it's right there. And that's the one I cleaned up. So this one's the one that's all yellow, and this one's the one that I just finished. Okay, so then I go to my drive and I have my original. Keep your original, because maybe you need to go get it. Maybe you mess up really bad and you have to start over. Who knows? So drag that in here. And then tomorrow or the next day, when you want to go work on that, you click on here and you right click and you click open with Photopea if you set it up that way. Otherwise, you have to download it and drag it into Photopea. Okay, but if I open this in Photopea, it's going to open my PSD image right from my Google Drive. Where are you? I'm going to close that and see if I can do that again. Right click. It may not work, so you might have to download and upload, but let's see. Let's see if it'll work this time. Loading files from Google Drive. There we go. Okay, so here's my cleaned up file. It's all cleaned up. It looks like it's a little broken, but if I zoom in, I can see that it's really nice and clean. Okay, do not color it. When you're all done, you're going to make 3 layers. So we're going to do that later. But let me just show you. If I draw something on here now, if I use my pencil tool and I go in and I draw something, I'm just gonna, whoops, needs to be black. So see that little squiggle? I'm just doing this so I can show you that it'll save it. So then now I just go File, and since it's already linked to my Google Drive, I click Save PSD. So File, Save to Google Drive, Control Save. All right, so now look, when I go back to my drive, I can go in and I can save my work, right? And then I can go back in and I can open it with Photopea the next day. So this is really nice. It's just saved in the cloud, but you have to make sure that you add that to your drive first. And then the next day I can go in and erase that line that I didn't want, right? I didn't want that line. So you can go in, use the pencil tool. I'll make it really big. And I'll go in and erase it. right? And then I can just save it again. File, save as PSD. Oh, sorry, save to Google Drive. You have to save it as a PSD and download it first. Otherwise it won't work. But once you do that, you can just keep saving back and forth right to your drive. And now if we go back, you can see that that squiggle is gone. So everything I do after that, it's always going to be there. Now look at this white border. That's really fake. That's not really there, right? If we look at the PSD, it's cropped right to the edge. So don't worry about that. And that is it.